The desert night was alive with whispers, wind scraping against sand, the faint hum of something unnatural in the distance. Ethan Cole trudged through the dunes, his flashlight cutting narrow tunnels through the dark. He had followed a distress signal, one that wasn't supposed to exist. There were no colonies or stations out here, not for hundreds of miles. He checked the signal tracker again. The red dot blinked ahead, near a cluster of jagged rocks. He frowned. "Either I'm losing my mind," he muttered, "or someone's playing a really bad joke." Then came the cry. High-pitched, fragile, desperate. "Help! Please!" Ethan froze. It wasn't his imagination. He scrambled toward the sound, his boots slipping in the sand until he reached the rocks. There, huddled in the hollow of a boulder, was a small figure, glowing faintly blue beneath the moonlight. Little girl. No, not human. Her skin shimmered like liquid glass, veins pulsing with light. Her eyes were enormous, silver with vertical pupils that caught every flicker of movement. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old, if her species aged like humans at all. She looked up at him, trembling. "You're human," she whispered, as though the word itself was a legend. Ethan crouched slowly, lowering his weapon. "Yeah, I'm human. Are you hurt?" The girl shook her head. "Not me. My mother. Please, you have to save her." She pointed into the dunes. "The soldiers came. They took her. She can't breathe the surface air for long." Ethan's pulse quickened. "Soldiers. Here." "What kind of soldiers?" he asked, but the girl only tugged his sleeve. "Please. She'll die." He didn't hesitate any longer. He adjusted the oxygen valve on his pack, handed the girl a small mask. "Stay close to me." They moved through the dunes under a bruised sky. The stars hung low, distant witnesses to a secret neither of them fully understood. The girl's name was Lira, and her mother, Kaelith, was a medic from an alien outpost that had crash-landed weeks ago. The human authorities had declared the site off-limits, sealing it under military control. Ethan had heard rumors. They were experimenting on survivors. When they reached the ridge, he saw it. A crashed alien vessel, half buried in sand, surrounded by portable floodlights and a perimeter fence of humming energy barriers. Human soldiers paced around the wreckage. Lyra's small hand squeezed his. They took her inside. The big tent. Her voice quivered. "She can't live without the crystals." "What crystals?" She pointed at her chest. A faint glow pulsed beneath her skin. "We need the lumis stones. They keep our hearts warm." Ethan swallowed hard. "And your mother doesn't have hers." "They took it. That did it." Whatever guilt or fear lingered in him burned away. Ethan had once served in the same kind of unit, one that buried truths under classified files and called cruelty research. He couldn't let it happen again. He turned to Lira. "You stay hidden until I come back." She shook her head violently. "I'm coming." He almost argued, but her eyes, those trembling luminous eyes, were fierce. She wouldn't stay behind. They crawled through the sand, slipping past the first row of lights. Ethan cut a small opening in the energy fence with his old plasma cutter. The hum of the generator covered their steps. Inside, the camp was a maze of shadows. The soldiers were clustered near the wreck, leaving the medical tent unguarded. Ethan slipped inside. The smell hit him first. Sterile chemicals mixed with something metallic and alien. Then he saw her. Kaelith lay on a table, translucent tubes pulsing faintly against her skin. She was beautiful in a haunting way. Taller, her features sharper, her skin glowing faint violet instead of blue. Her breathing was shallow, labored. "Mother!" Lira rushed forward, tears streaking down her cheeks. Kaelith's eyes fluttered open. "Lira!" Her voice was barely a whisper. Ethan hurried to the table, disconnecting wires and tubes. "Easy. I'm getting you out." Siren blared outside. Someone had noticed the breach. "Go!" Ethan shouted, scooping Kaelith into his arms. Lira grabbed her mother's hand as they bolted through the tent. Bullets hissed past them, striking sand and metal. Ethan ducked behind a rover, fired back with a scavenged blaster. The energy burst sent one soldier sprawling. Lira reached into her pocket and pulled out a glowing shard, the lumis crystal. "She needs this." Ethan knelt, pressing the shard into Kaelith's palm. Her skin flared with light, and suddenly her breathing steadied. A low hum filled the air, as if the desert itself was responding. Then Kaelith lifted her hand weakly. The sand trembled. A ring of blue energy burst outward, knocking the soldiers to their knees. Ethan stared in awe. What did you just?" "She's connected to the energy of this world," Lira said, eyes wide. "She was trying to heal it before they came." Kaelith's voice was soft but steady now. "You must go. The others will come." Ethan shook his head. "Not without you." Kaelith's eyes softened. "Then we all go." They ran until dawn painted the dunes in gold. Behind them, smoke rose from the camp, evidence of what humans had done in their hunger for control. Ethan stopped when they reached the ridge overlooking the desert plain. Kaelith's glow had dimmed again. "You'll be safe here," he said, lowering her beside Lira. Kaelith smiled faintly. "You risked your life for strangers." "Not strangers," Ethan said. "Just people who needed help." Lira looked up at him, eyes wet but shining. "Will you stay with us?" He hesitated. The sun was rising, and for the first time in years, he felt like something inside him had shifted, like the line between worlds wasn't as thick as he once thought. "I'll stay," he said finally. "For now." Lira threw her arms around him, and Kaelith whispered something in her native tongue. A blessing, maybe. The desert wind carried it away, soft and hopeful. And as the light washed over them, Ethan realized that saving one alien life had changed his own. Forever. They ran until the first light of dawn spilled over the desert, painting the dunes in shades of gold and fire. The military camp was far behind them now, just a smudge of smoke on the horizon, a scar on the endless sands. Ethan stopped at the ridge, his chest heaving, and gently lowered Kaelith onto a smooth patch of ground. Lira knelt beside her mother, pressing the lumis crystal closer to her chest. The faint blue glow returned, wrapping both of them in a soft halo of light. Kaelith's eyes opened slowly, meeting Ethan's. "You risked everything for us," she murmured, her voice a trembling whisper carried by the wind. Ethan shook his head. "No one deserves to be caged. Not for being different." Kaelith smiled faintly, her expression both weary and grateful. "You are not like the others." Lira reached out, her small luminous hand finding Ethan's. "Will you stay with us?" she asked, her voice fragile but filled with hope. He looked out at the horizon, at the rising sun, the endless desert, the quiet proof of everything that had happened. Once, he had wandered this wasteland with nothing but guilt and silence. Now there was something worth protecting. "I'll stay," he said softly. "For as long as you need me." Lira threw her arms around him, tears of light sparkling down her cheeks. Kaelith placed her glowing hand over both of them, her energy pulsing faintly, binding them together. The wind shifted, carrying the sound of distant engines, humans searching for what they'd lost. But Ethan didn't care.